Hi, so you're going to look at how to create an alarm in Siemens software, and the PLC we're using is Simatic S7 1200. So first thing we need to do is go down into first thing we need to do is add a device, and we're going to get this menu. So we're going to go to Semantics S7 1200, which is what we've got here, and we're going to go in CPU. Now there's a lot of versions here, so for the version that you need to look at your PLC, and right here it says CPU 1214C DC. So we're going to choose that one. 14C DC. And now we get 3 more versions. So if you open this lid here, you're going to see the version for that, which is AG40. So you've got a couple of AGs, but only one form, so you're going to choose that. Now this is our model for that. What we're gonna really need to do is go into the program blocks and go to main. So this is where most of the stuff is happening. Now before we get into anything, this is ladder programming language, so we need to change this into function block. So right click on the main and click on switch programming language and switch it to FBD. Now we're using function block programming language, or graphical programming language in a sense. So first thing we need to do is set our inputs and outputs. So I'm going to use this switch as an input, and I'm going to use this as an analog input, and this is going to be our alarm LED. So the way you assign your address to those inputs and outputs is by using tags, and you go into tags, show all tags, and you add your tags. So if you take a closer look at your PLC, there is a couple of rows. So this is DI and this is DQ. So DI is our input and Q is our output. So these are the outputs for the Q and these are the inputs for the I. So if you can see in real time, if I switch this on, it's going to turn the 0 I on. So this is what we're going to do in our task, in our tags. So I've set a blamp set tag of type boolean, and its address is I00, which is what we just looked at. We've also got analog input of type word, and its address is I0064. Now, but you do need to specify, after you've specified word, you do need to specify the 64 address for this one. And also we've got the output of type boolean, which is Q00, which is the other light LED that we looked at. So the next thing I'm going to do is create function blocks for my alarm system. So to do that, I'm just going to click on add new block, and I'm going to click on function. Make sure that's set to FBD and not ladder. And I'm going to call this alarm output, or alarm system, just to not get confused with the variables. So now that we have it, I'm going to double click on it. So the first thing you need to do is set your local variables for this function block. So I've set my input as analog input of type word, output as alarm out of type boolean, and I've also got 2 temporary variables which we will be using to switch between networks. So this will come to these later. That's basically to get the analog value and to scale it. So to get our analog value, we're going to use this block here. Drag it onto there, and we're going to click on this and go down to Normex and for our value we're going to choose the variable that we created. So the first thing we need to do is set this to from integer to real, which is analog. So in our value we're going to choose the variable that we created as analog input. And we will come to minimum and maximum later on, and the output is going to be our temporary variable, which is norm input. It's kind of counterintuitive because that's input, that's output, but you'll see in a minute why that's the case. So in network 2 we're going to create another one of these blocks, and this time we're going to go for the function scalex for scaling our values that we get in this function. And in this case our input's going to be, well, first we need to set this from real to integer, and we're going to take our input value as norm input, which is the output of this one, and our output is going to be in this case scaled input. So we're taking the analog values from here, putting it in this temporary variable, coming down here, putting a range to scale that value up between. So we're gonna scale it from 0 to 10. So that's in integer values now. And now we're going to create the output for this function block. So I'm going to drag this onto here, and for that I'm going to, and up here you can just set it to alarm out. And this, well, this is where we put our scaled value, but it's not the scaled value actually, it's whether the scaled value is between 0 and 5, and then we set the alarm output to true. So for that we're gonna need another one of these blocks. So I'm gonna just drag it and connect it to this, and this time I'm gonna go down here and put it to less than, and now we're going to put our input to scaled input, and if it's greater than 5, then, sorry, that's greater than, so if it's greater than 5, then alarm output is going to be set to true. Now if you come up here in normx, the maximum analog value, if you can check it from your PLC by just making a simple program that checks the input value from the analog input, but it comes out to be around 16#7730. That's around the maximum value. It might be slightly different for yours, and the minimum is obviously going to be 0. Now I'm going to create another function block for LED output. This part's really not necessary, but it's better to put it in that for sake of clarity. So I'm going to select it, and I'm going to drag this here, and I also need to put the input and output tags, so I'll just do that in a minute. So I've created the two variables of type boolean, and I've set this to blamp state, and I've set the input to blamp set, and that's all of you're going to need for this function block. Now coming to the main block of the code, I'm going to drag the alarm system onto network 1, and we're going to set the input to equal to analog input, which is, remember, what we set in all tags. We set this as the input variable with the address, which is the address of this dial here, and we're going to set our output. Well, to set our output, we need to feed it to the LED out function, which we're going to put into another network. Now, to connect two different networks, the best way to do it is to use temporary variables. So for that, I'm going to set a temporary variable for that. So now that I've got the balarm set temporary variable, I'm just going to enter that into here. So balarm set. Now we can drag our other function block onto the network 2, and our output is obviously going to be the address to the lamp, which we set as balarm output, which is going to be the address to the LED. Now, what's going to be the deciding factor for that LED to be on? So we've got our alarm, which sets for which the analog input should be from less than 5 for the alarm to be on. So we can put that in here, but we can also add a switch that would turn the LED on unconditionally. So if you've got two different inputs, we can always use the OR gate, and I'm going to put this to be balarm set, which again is the address to the first switch on the PLC, and the second input is also going to be the output to our alarm system, and we set that the output to that we set to the temporary variable balarm set. So I'm going to set that to that, and that's it. That's the alarm system. So the next thing you need to do is go online, and it's going to give you this thing. So you're going to select that to this, and that to Ethernet connection, because we're connected to the PLC wired Ethernet connection. Again, if you've got multiple Ethernet connections, then you need to make sure you're connected to the right one. And I'm going to go down here. No, I'm going to search for my device. And yep, so once it's there, you press on go online. Now, you're going to get a bunch of errors. It's going to say, well, this is both of the PLC side and the software side of this is online, but for this the software side exists, but the PLC side doesn't, and same is the case. I mean, the PLC side exists for these two, but the software side doesn't. So what we need to do for that is download this onto your PLC. And it's going to say there's a program already before, so you're just going to say continue without synchronization. You're going to say no action, stop action, stop all the programs before, and load. There's a finish. And all our functions are online now, so I'm going to come down to main. I'm going to go up here, this classy looking thing, which is our unrolling monitoring unroll. So I'm going to start that. So as you can see, we've got a value here and it's online now. So if I turn that, you're going to change the value in there. So I'm turning that. So if you come closer, so as soon as we go above 5, it's going to turn to true. If I go below it, it goes to false. Above 5, true. And you can also see this happening in the alarm system function block. So if I go in here, if you also need to turn the simulation on for this. So now we can see when the value is. Now we don't actually see the alarm system in this, but just the value changing. So if you come down here and we look at this, we actually see the scaled output. So 4, 5. Now I'll just expand this so you can actually see the output. So that goes off when that value goes below 5. And as soon as I go up to 5, it's still off. But as soon as I go above 5, it goes green, which means it's on. So that's the alarm system.